It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interviews.
There's going to be much higher expectations, sense of awareness of what we bring to the table.
Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Throws, answer, yes! Caught! Touchdown! They did it!
Welcome back to Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, 1069thefan.com. Also on the 1069 The Fan mobile app. You can also go to those destinations to find past episodes. In fact, the hour that we just wrapped up is now posted. You can go back and turn us off now and go back and listen to the last hour if you really want, but we wouldn't encourage that.
Fast acting publishing.
That's right. Thank you, Dan Patrick, for a little bit of a break there to get things caught up for us.
Nice 4-minute break.
Oh.
Enough time to cut off the audio and publish it.
So a couple different things to talk about this hour. Now, we talked about this last hour, but if you want to continue to weigh in on it, Mountain West Conference coaches announced their All Mountain West awards. They do a first team, second team, third team, and honorable mention, whereas the media just did a first and second team.
Well, they had a third team.
Did they have a third team?
Yeah, they did.
Oh, I guess I overlooked that. But the one of the big differences is that the coaches in the conference itself and its official awards put 6 players on each team, whereas the media only did 5, which isn't your first team like isn't that basically your all-star team for the conference? You only play 5 players.
Yeah, and it's a reference to you used to call your starters your first team, and then your second team, and so on and so forth. That's the point. So when you have too many players, or when you do what the Pac-12 did, which I've run around a bunch of different articles covering the Pac-12 all-conference just to see if I wasn't somehow misreading it, but it appears they put 10 players on their all-conference first team. And then they have 5 players in their all-conference second team. Which, I don't know.
Doesn't make sense.
And it's just more, it feels like it's pandering to the PR department. It's like, okay, everyone gets a first team. You get a first team. You get a first team. Or with the Mountain West, it's just, you get an all-conference. You get an all-conference. Everybody's an all-conference.
Everybody gets a medal.
Except nobody's honorable mention. Because
they've used them all up.
Yeah, there's...
I want anyone to feel bad.
Yeah, there's two honorable mentions. There were anywhere between like 5 and 9, just kind of eyeballing going over the last, the entire history of the Mountain West's all-conference teams. There'd be a bunch of honorable mentions. Now there's none left because they all made it onto the first, second, or third team.
So Stephen Ashworth, I guess you could say he benefits from having 6 players listed.
Yeah, I don't know because he
may have been there no matter what.
If that's how the media had done it, he would have been on their first team as the 6th player. I don't know if he was the 6th highest vote getter for first team. Maybe, but we'll never know. I guess that's the problem. Is that we don't know if did Stephen Ashworth actually make the first team, or is he the beneficiary of whatever decision this was to put 6 players on the first team?
So, yeah, we don't know because they don't release their vote tallies or anything like that. They're not transparent at all. But congratulations nonetheless for Stephen Ashworth making the first team. Dan Atkin, recognized by both media and coaches as the 6th man of the year. You can read more about it on CashValleyDaily.com, but kudos to them. The Mountain West Conference Tournament for the men picks up tomorrow. And game of note for Aggie fans, even though Utah State does not play tomorrow, they are affected by what happens tomorrow. And it'll be New Mexico versus Wyoming. And Aggie fans should be pulling for New Mexico. Pulling for New Mexico to have a very solid game offensive and defensively efficient ball game against Wyoming to push them further into the top 50 so that when Utah State plays them, it'll be another quad one game for USU, and hopefully after Utah State's defeat of the Lobos will remain a quad one game.
And if that happens, it probably pushes Utah State into about as much of a lock as you can hope they can be in the NCAA tournament, aside from getting to the championship game and winning. They'd be enough of a lock at that point. You'd just about feel like they could make it even if they lose in the semifinal. Now,
this is kind of like what we were talking about last week. There was two very different emotions last week in the two games that Utah State played. There was the fear of failure as a motivating factor and a motivation for success.
Yeah, chase for success.
Chase for success. There you go.
Whatever you want to call it.
The UNLV game was a can't-lose game, and the Boise State game was a must-win game. On Thursday for Utah State, it's a can't-lose game again. You cannot lose that game on Thursday if you want to be considered an at-large team. We've debated whether that's still enough or not, being in the semifinals of a very good Mountain West Conference. If you make it to the Final Four of the conference tournament, is that still enough? We can still debate that as the week goes on when we see how the landscape changes. But Thursday night, in my mind, is a can't-lose game. You can't lose to New Mexico or Wyoming, whomever it is that comes out of that game.
Yeah, I've been in the camp for weeks now that make the conference tournament championship. That's the bare minimum. I'm softening on that a little bit to where I think, given how as I dropped my pen right on my computer, given how the opinion on Utah State has shifted already.
Yeah, true. Just the last few days.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe this shift would occur during the conference tournament, but since that shift is happening earlier to where they're on the majority of bracketologists' brackets, and as I've looked back at the history, bracket matrix, you can look at the past and see how accurate everybody is. A lot of these bracketologists get 66, 67 teams right. They miss on one team, at least getting into the tournament. Seeding, that they can be wrong on that in a lot of different ways, but they're not bad at picking the teams in the tournament. And so the fact that they're all now putting Utah State in, I know it's not a guarantee. They can always be wrong. But since that shift is happening earlier, you can think, okay, if they lost in the semifinal, there's still a not bad chance, especially if that New Mexico ends up being a quad one win. Because it just looks better on the resume, and people who just glance at the resume one more time say, oh, they got one more quad one win. It would help.
Yeah.
But still, at this point, if they make it to the championship game, before it was make the championship game minimum and you might have a chance. Now it's make the championship game and
sure.
At that point, they're a lock.
Yeah.
They don't even have to win at that point. So, yeah, you obviously, as you said, they can't lose this first round game. Whoever it is, Wyoming, New Mexico, you, I guess, can win and get in, or can lose and get in, losing the championship since you're probably losing to a good team. It's not going to be considered a bad loss. And you'll probably have done enough already. So Utah State's sitting in a good position where they can control most of their own destiny. Or we could all make this really simple and just win. That happened twice, and especially it was more of a thing in 2020 where there was a lot of, we're not sure if they're going to get in. They were really on the fringe and kind of maybe sitting on the outside. And then they won it all. It's the anniversary of that day where they won it all. And it was well, throw all that out the window. There's no doubts. And that's what you'd hope would happen here. And we talked about this yesterday where Utah State's playing their best basketball. So it is a very real possibility that even though they've got swept by San Diego State and lost to Nevada and Boise State, they can still get through and win.
Yeah, right. They're playing their best basketball right now. Very efficient, good defense, great offense. They're playing their best basketball of the season. They're on a 5-game winning streak going in, and the tournament selection committee they do consider how well are you playing going into the end of the season. that is a big factor to them. And
Shouldn't.
Utah State is showing that they are playing really good basketball right now.
It shouldn't be a factor. I hate all the dumb factors. I mean,
Shouldn't be, but if you're a team that has if you just look at resume alone, but the team has been playing really poorly, or really it's the case for Utah State over New Mexico. New Mexico had a lot of wins early. They've got more quad one wins, but they've lost a lot of games in the conference, especially late. And so Utah State, it may not have won as many quality games earlier, but they're winning games now.
New Mexico's thing is they've now at this point lost more games and just look like they've been exposed. And to me, it goes back to the fact that I don't really like the idea of conference tournaments in general because it plays into this. How have you played in the last 3 games? That decides your postseason fate. I'm not a fan of that.
Right.
Bradley probably isn't going to they might not make the tournament now. They won the regular season championship. If UVU doesn't win the WAC championship, they're not getting in. They were regular season champions. Everything decided by how you do 3 games in March. I'm not a fan of that. It's worked in the benefit of the teams I follow multiple times, but that doesn't mean I like the system.
Right. It's a skewed emphasis on what happens in a few days rather than the course of a couple of months.
Yeah, and it fits the theme of March Madness to an absolute T. So if in the way they've built it, the system is consistent with what it emphasizes. It emphasizes a darling who plays well for like 3, 4, 5 games. In the conference, they're like a 4 seed in a 1 bid conference. They're like 500 all year, and they win the conference tournament, and they're like a 15 seed, and they beat Duke. That's what March Madness is all about: winning a first round game, and you're immortalized. I mean, they're still talking about Ryan Odom's win over every single broadcast I've watched this season. That's like the first thing they say about it. They bring up his record, overall record as a coach, this and that. Led UMBC to the victory over Virginia. That's what it's all about. So conference tournaments fit that theme, but I don't like it as a system. Granted, there's videos about how if you break it down in terms of logic and like deciding a champion and how it all works, the NCAA tournament is kind of stupid. But I don't care about that because I like the NCAA tournament. So I'm being a very human person and picking and choosing what I like and what I don't like.
We got a couple of texts coming through, and some of these are holdovers from last hour where we were discussing some Utah State football. 6804. I don't understand the expectations. Anderson's best record at Arkansas State was 9-4. He went 11-3 with someone else's recruiting class. He's been here 2 full years. Any missing pieces should have been patched up in the transfer portal.
So
that 11-3 year wasn't all of someone else's recruiting class because he brought in a lot of transfer kids himself.
He brought in Logan Bonner. He re-recruited Devin Tompkins. He brought in Brandon Bowling. I think there was a defensive player or 2 that was his.
Mm-hmm.
So, but okay, if you phrase it like that, it doesn't sound bad. Let's rephrase a little bit more. He had 1 losing season at Arkansas State. Only 1 time did he win fewer than 7 games. Only twice did he win fewer than 8. And his record from 2015 to 2019. So basically his record at Arkansas State excluding the weird 2020 COVID year. He went 40-24 in that 5-year span. Utah State's record 33-31. He did better at Arkansas State with fewer resources than Utah State did in the Mountain West. Now I get there can be flaws in Coach Anderson. There's things you can maybe be worried about, but saying, "Oh yeah, his worst record was 9-4." Okay,
no,
or his best record. Excuse me, his best record was 9-4. Okay.
That's not shabby.
Yeah, that's not bad. And considering he had a bunch of other 8-5, 7-5, 8-4, his 1 losing season was the weird year, where everything kind of went to crap. I mean, we write off Utah State's 1-5 season, just pretend it didn't happen. So, yeah, he was a very consistent coach. Got wins, got to bowl games, And that's what you want out of a coach here at Utah State. Get consistent wins. He was doing at Arkansas State what we've wanted to see Utah State do. Consistently win 7-8 games a season. Because they can't stop having an 11-3 season and then follow it up with a 6-7 season. They keep doing it.
Right.
Granted, Blake Anderson just did that, so who knows? Maybe we'll see whether or not he can really figure this out. But saying that Anderson's, not a good coach and using his record at Arkansas State as your evidence that he's not a good coach, that's not your best argument.
Or that we are expecting too much. We have unrealistic expectations of Anderson. I think he set those expectations based on his track record and success at Arkansas State, and then with the success that he had in his first year.
And didn't we?
He set those expectations.
I mean, even after
it's on him.
Even after he had like the 11-3 season, were we talking like the schedule? Were we like maxing it out at like 8 wins?
Yeah, you and I both were at 8. The losses and the wins were a little bit different, but we both arrived at an 8-4 season.
Yeah, underperformed that and ended up at 6-7. Like we didn't think, oh yeah, he's gonna have another 10-win year just because he had the one. And this year, when we were going over the schedule, and kind of when I went over the schedule, I talked about how, I wasn't super conclusive, but for me, the range wasn't more than probably 8 or 9 wins there, and I probably would have settled on 6-6, 7-5, I guess 5-7 to 7-5, somewhere in there. Like, I don't have super high expectations for the season, to be honest, yet. I say yet because there's a chance. I'm trying to avoid definitive statements about how the season's going to come because as I've said several times, I'm working with limited information. I'm working with a lot of players who are potentially going to be key contributors, and all I have are ifs.
A recruiting sheet, and we haven't really seen. Yeah. That's the best of their best that they've done, that they've accomplished. We haven't seen them on the field with their teammates.
All I can do is give you some really iffy analysis. That's the best I can do.
It's about what you pay for.
Yeah.
To get Jason's analysis. It's worth that much.
So, at this point, I should just say I don't have expectations because I can't set anything without putting a bunch of ifs. Like when I was analyzing the schedule, I said there were like 3 or 4. I think there were 4 games that I was confident I could predict one way or the other. Or maybe it was 6. I could predict 6 games somewhat comfortably one way or the other. And there were 6 where I was just like, heavens if I know. And so that gives me this very wide range of they can go 3-9 or they go 9-3. If they lost all the games that are toss-up or won all the games that are toss-up. So I'd say that, one, I would say you're better off finding other reasons to criticize Anderson. And 2, don't quite have expectations yet.
And I think it's okay to have expectations.
Yeah, it's okay if you want expectations for like how to build a program. And you want expectations for him to be able to win. But for me, I can't set specific season expectations because
it's too early.
Yeah, it's too early. Now, as far as what I think he should accomplish, if I can talk. My expectation is to be able to talk on public radio without messing up. I can't accomplish that, apparently. But expectations for what Anderson should be able to accomplish, which maybe that's more of what 6804 is going for, is, he should be able to accomplish at least another winning season. I would hope that's the bare minimum. And maybe another 7-8 win season. Having confidence that he can do that, that's something we should be putting on him.
Well, that should be the standard. I mean, the standard has been set. The program standard is now, that's what should be expected. Going to a bowl game, at least.
Yeah, that's become the minimum. You go to a bowl game or the season's a failure.
Yeah.
And even this last season was teetering on being considered a failure because everyone was expecting a 7-8 win season. After winning a conference championship, there was an assumption you brought your quarterback back. Okay, guy who set a bunch of records, but they didn't live up to that expectation, and that happens.
Yeah. The fact that a bowl game was salvaged out of the way that season started was respectable.
Yeah, it was a pleasant surprise. Probably bought Blake Anderson at least another year. Because if he'd missed a bowl game last year and then tanked it this year, he probably would have been fired.
Yeah. 6543. With there being no divisions now, how will that play into the Aggies' chances for a championship?
I don't know.
In the history of the Mountain West Conference, it really hasn't been. There really haven't been too many instances where somebody who didn't win their division would have been the other team selected to go play for the championship.
Yeah.
Usually, it just happens. The two best teams were the division champions. Now, the big difference here, though, is that there have been some teams that are perennially underperforming, and you have the benefit of always playing them in your division. And now that's wiped away.
Yeah, and so the trick is we can start having some years where maybe Utah State just happens to play the weaker end of the conference, or they happen to play the stronger end of the conference. Yeah, like I said, you'd play Boise State every year. That was always a challenge, but you'd also get Colorado State, who a lot of times was down.
New Mexico.
Yeah, I was trying to remember who else was in the division. New Mexico is probably the better example than Colorado State there. But if you were like, let's say you're in the West and you play the Mountain Division, maybe they're a bit weak that year, and then you end up playing like Nevada, San Jose State, and Hawaii. Well, you played the weekend. Like part of Utah State's season last year is they kind of got lucky because they didn't play Fresno State. They didn't play San Diego State. Like those were two of the better teams in the West Division. They didn't have to play them. They played the weaker end of the other division. Probably got them to a bowl game because of that.
Yeah, no, very true.
And so it'll, obviously the way they do it'll be a little different. So they can just, I don't know, that same kind of effect may happen, but it'll just happen a little bit differently. And it won't be the same teams every year. You could get really messed up by playing all the best teams, where that probably wasn't going to happen because the divisions were split up pretty well.
Yeah.
In terms of perennial good programs and not so good programs.
It was a decent mix. But
yeah, and now with the pods, Utah State has what they play. Is it Boise State and San Diego State? I'm trying to remember.
Boy.
I think those are the two.
I know Boise State is one.
I'm pretty sure San Diego State's the other. And those are like two of the best programs in football, and you have to play them every year guaranteed. You don't get them off. You get San Diego State off sometimes. You get Fresno State off sometimes. You're going to play one of the best teams in each division every single year guaranteed. And that makes it harder for Utah State in football, if I'm right. And I can't remember if I'm right.
Well, we'll have to look it up.
We got to hit a break.
Yeah,
we should do that, and we'll look this information up. We'll confirm whether or not I'm accurate on my memory.
You're not. I just
I'm
found
not.
it.
Dang it!
So the pod for Utah State is Boise State, as you mentioned, but also Air Force and Wyoming.
I thought it was only 2 teams you play every year. I guess it would be a pod of 3, but
yeah.
I'll
I'll look at another site just to verify. Anyway, while we do that, we'll take a time out. More of your texts start coming through. Love to hear from you. 435-339-0321.
This is Ryan at My Mattress. Life is good. Life at My Mattress is good too. Why might I say that? Because today is a good day to slay a Goliath. The other day I went into a mattress store here in Logan that has 2,500 stores across the country. I'd say that's a Goliath. We were 20% less expensive on every bed that we both offer. We may not have 2,500 stores, but we are number 1 in Cache Valley. Better product and better prices. Isn't it time to sleep exceptionally? Only at My Mattress.
When it comes to home care, it's important to know you have a choice. If you or a loved one is in need of hospice or home health services, remember that Primrose Home Care and Hospice believes in treating the patient as well as the problem. We work directly with you and your doctor to create a health plan that's catered to your needs. Our team is devoted to providing options in the freedom and safety of your own home. Visit us at primrosecare.com or call to schedule a free consultation. Primrose Home Care and Hospice, your local hospice and home health provider since 2006.
Prodigy Brewing invites you to enjoy the luck of the Irish all through March with a menu as tasty as a pot of gold. Enjoy Prodigy's new lunch options, including personal-sized pizzas, juicy burgers, chicken sliders, and delicious salads, along with bar menu favorites like wings and beer cheese nachos that'll leave you feeling lucky as a four-leaf clover. Experience Prodigy Brewing, family-friendly dining with an edge. Make sure to follow them on Instagram for special beer releases, St. Paddy's Day weekend specials, live music, and more. Prodigy Brewing on Center Street in downtown Logan.
Hey golfers, this is PGA golf professional Eric Clement inviting you to come play in the first annual AMK Foundation 4-Man Scramble charity golf event the week of March 6th through the 11th at Links Golf. Call Links Golf today, 435-213-9795 to sign up. All proceeds benefit special needs kids and families in our community. The first annual AMK Foundation charity golf event at Links Golf. Thanks for choosing to support special needs kids and families in our community.
Nothing beats March Madness. The pure sound of a swish, the rattle of a slam dunk, the fans on their feet for the big moments. And the action just keeps getting better until a national champion is crowned. Hear all the action with Westwood One's exclusive coverage of this year's NCAA tournament, right here.
Catch all the action of March Madness on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, online at 1069thefan.com or the Fan mobile app.
Join the show by calling 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker. Several texts coming through. Love to hear from you. Love to have you part of the show. 435-339-0321. It's looking like what I've been able to find, and we're still trying to double check that. But
I literally can't find. It was online, and there were releases and everything about it, and I can't find those releases. So,
May of 2022.
Is that when it happened?
That's when it was announced.
Did you find a press release for it?
Well, I saw a story about the press release. So we'll keep finding it. It's not as critical as of right now. We'll keep.
It's gonna bother me though. That's the problem. So May of 2022.
In the meantime, a couple other texts coming through on our Full Court Press text line. 9315. A couple of texts here. Let's see. I just want USU to win and win the championship game. The rest doesn't matter regarding basketball. Yep, absolutely. And then also, I think they need to change things so the conference champions and the conference tournament champion get auto bids, then fill in the rest with at large. How many teams have already won an auto bid from conference champions that are done?
There's been a couple. I've mostly just observed them on Twitter.
There are a couple of teams that have already, or conferences that are done.
Okay. By the way, I found it. Utah State press release about the 3-year cycle. The two opponents Utah State will face in each of the next 3 seasons, Boise State and San Diego State.
Oh,
I was right.
You were right.
So,
all right.
I know the theory was Utah State was probably going to get Boise State and Wyoming. They're more regional rivalries.
Oh, maybe this was a speculation article that I saw. Could be.
So I'm not crazy. It's official. I'm not crazy. Definitely not crazy. Would a crazy person say they're not crazy? I don't think they would. Only a crazy person would not deny it.
That's good. Let's see, more texts coming through. 8968. It's a must-win for the Aggies. If they lose to Wyoming or New Mexico, they don't deserve a tournament bid. College tournaments feel a lot like NBA playoffs. The heck with the season. Win the playoffs. Kind of.
Yeah, it's. It's because in college, the regular season culminates in earning a trip to the playoffs. So in a sense, the regular season really does mean so much more in college than it does in the NBA. Because for the NBA, if you're a decent team, you're in the playoffs, especially now with the play-in. If you're any kind of decent, you're in the playoffs. And then at that point, obviously legacies are built on, playoffs. And there is some similarity to that because, despite the fact that the regular season does build up to the tournaments, we remember the tournaments more. We remember Sam Merrill's shot. Why was it such a huge thing? It was postseason, and it sent Utah State to the tournament, or would have. That's part of what made it so iconic, is what it meant as far as getting to the tournament. And it's why, you remember the NCAA tournament wins. You win a first-round game, and that's considered a success. Be one of the last 32 teams still alive. But so there's some similarity to the NBA playoffs. I mean, I guess if you're maybe a major conference team, there's some disappointment that you can't make it all the way. But it's not that way for a team like Utah State. If the Aggies win one NCAA tournament game, everyone considers the season a success.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's not that way, Utah Jazz were derided for always losing in the first or second round. Same thing, same level of advancement in the playoffs. Different feeling about it.
4781, random fact. Do you ever listen to people's voices for so long and then when you finally see what they look like, you're surprised? This happened with me when I found your profiles on Twitter.
This happens every single time I've heard a radio voice and then seen the face.
Yes, definitely.
And if that happens, you just know that, yeah, I'm with you. Like when I first saw your face, I'd heard your voice on the radio, and then I saw your profile pic, then I met you in person. It was different because I'm finally attaching a face to the voice. Like when I met Ajay for the first time, I'd heard his voice before I'd seen him in person. And so for a lot of you, I don't know what some of y'all imagine I look like. There's a free picture of me online that you can see.
I'm sorry for all of you who have been disappointed when you've seen my picture. And you had somebody very different in your mind.
Yeah.
I know I've let you down.
Yeah, I should ask all the textures, like when you heard my voice versus when you saw my face for the first time, were you surprised what I looked like? Because I've always been surprised whenever I see somebody's face after hearing them on the radio. I don't think it's ever not happened. I don't think there's ever been a time where it's like, all right, they look exactly what I think they look like. No, it's never happened.
Yeah, it's very different. Usually is. Let's do this. We need to take a little time out here on the Full Court Press. When we come back, let's get into the stat that blew our minds and our player of the week. We'll see what each of us have there. See who we've selected, stats that stood out to us. If you have a player of the week that we should consider, man, send a text in and nominate somebody for what they did. Could be in any sport, close to home, far away, doesn't matter. 435-339-0321 and 4781. Surprised that I didn't have many wrinkles.
I'm pretty sure that's an older picture.
I think I sound a lot older than I look. Okay. That's good. All right, well, I have the gray hair that goes with it, that's for sure. But we'll get into the stat that blew our minds and our player of the week coming up next here on the Full Court Press.
Spend less time at the post office. With Formax and Mint mailing systems from Les Olson IT, you can quickly, accurately, and easily process your outgoing mail and even save on postage. Fold your documents, stuff and seal your envelopes, print addresses, weigh and measure to apply proper postage, all with the click of a button. With multiple model options available, you're sure to find a Formax solution and Mint mailing device that perfectly fits your business needs.
Les Olson IT. Don't get caught without power to your home or business. This is Tyler with Golden Spike Electric. We offer Generac backup generators to keep your home or business warm, avoiding frozen pipes, loss of valuable food, or even a flooded basement. Golden Spike Electric is certified and factory trained, so you know it will be installed right and properly maintained. Contact Golden Spike Electric so you'll never be without power again. Online at gsegenerators.com. We also service other brands, Golden Spike Electric and Generac. Power you can count on.
Alpine Home Medical has been around for over 25 years. Can you believe that? Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent. What keeps us coming to work every day? We're passionate about caring for you. From home and bathroom safety to transportation, mobility, recovery, oxygen, sleep, and more, come into any of our 10 locations today and let us take care of you.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Visit us at alpinehomemedical.com.
When it comes to your eyeglasses, a discount shop may not be your best answer. The money you save doesn't necessarily translate to quality or fashion. Crystal Vision in Logan offers competitive pricing and fashion for your unique style and taste. Crystal's opticians are trained to fit your glasses to you, not the masses. Take your current prescription in and let Crystal Vision fit you. Your glasses will feel like they were made for you. Crystal Vision, on 14th North or online at crystalvision.com.
This is Two Pros and a Cup of Joe.
We're getting back into it. You alluded, LeVar, to the pettiness between Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll yesterday at the Combine in Indianapolis was asked about that report.
With the guys that I've coached, that I'm always going to hang with them, and I'm never going to leave them.
What?
Two Pros, LeVar Arrington, Brady Quinn, and a Cup of Joe, Jonas Knox.
Weekday mornings from 4 to 7 on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan. It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker. Maybe if you look closely, you'll see some of the wrinkles in
your. Did you look up your profile
forehead.
picture?
No,
just to...
no. What do I really look like? No. 435-339-0321. 9315. They might find Eric the basketball player profile and think differently of the host of the show, Eric. Yes, there's the Eric Frandsen, the one of the all-time greats that played at Utah State. I'm definitely not that.
I
Eric
wasn't
Frandsen.
because I not noticed the spelling difference between your name and his, and so when I had seen those in the media guide and I knew your name, I'm like, I wasn't 100% sure you weren't the same person. And I hadn't met you in person yet, I don't think, at that point.
It gets confusing, especially when I'm talking Aggie basketball.
Yeah. So I didn't realize that you were only like 5'9". So.
5'10".
5'10", close enough.
Close enough. 4781. My player of the week would be Jonathan Hoffman of the USU men's ultimate frisbee team. Over the course of 6 games, he had 8 goals, 15 assists, and 7 blocks for the team.
They call them goals, not like touchdowns or something? Because don't they cross an end line basically where it's like
score? I guess it's a goal.
You can call it a goal, but usually a goal involves hitting something into something else or throwing something into something else.
Well, you throw a frisbee into somebody else's hands.
Yeah, but you catch it and then you cross a plane with it's like football.
Or you're already in the plane and you catch it.
Yeah, usually I don't know the specifics of how much you're allowed to run into it.
Yes, they are goals. Frisbee takes terminology from everywhere.
Well, everyone takes terminology from everywhere. It's just weird that they would take that terminology. He says TD makes more sense. Yeah, because it fits more.
You're in a scoring area.
It's similar to a touchdown. Or in rugby, I think isn't there like a try or something? I don't know how all rugby scoring works. It's weird, but it has more similarities to the rugby and football, American football forms of scoring than it does soccer and basketball and lacrosse and on hockey and all that.
That's true. And usually it's played on a football field.
Yeah. But I guess kudos to Jonathan Hoffman.
There you go. All right. Well, since 4781 got us started off, let's get into the player of the week, who our nominees are. Jason's and mine coming up right now.
Time to see who the real MVP is.
If you have a good game, your game is going to say that. You don't have to say it.
Puts a lot of cool things in perspective anytime you're the first time doing something.
It's the Full Court Press Player of the Week.
Let's go!
Since I usually have a habit of stealing some of Jason's stuff, whether it be Pick Six or some of these nominees, I'm going to let you go first, Jason.
Well, I'm going to keep it local as I always do, and I'm going to go with a fairly obvious choice. Stephen Ashworth. A couple games last week. Averaged 53% shooting, 50% from 3, 7.5 assists, 3.5 steals, 23 points per game. Pretty good week, and I believe he won Mountain West Player of the Week. So, very good week there from Stephen Ashworth. Taking the low-hanging fruit there. We could have gone other directions, but as a general rule, I like to keep it local and honor the local players who play well. And you're going to pick somebody from, like, the XFL or something.
No, I should, but no, I won't. I'm actually sticking local as well, and also picking Utah State player. But I thought about Stephen Ashworth, but I thought that would be too obvious a choice. I mean, he deserves a lot of credit for how he helped his team stem the tide from some runs made by the opponents last week and getting some big wins. But he had a great teammate who helped get him there as well, and that's Max Schulga. Really have been impressed with his development and him taking a larger role, more impactful role, not just in scoring. I mean, against UNLV, 19 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. I mean, guy was doing everything. But then against Boise State, he also chipped in a lot of different ways. 11 points, 4 rebounds, and 6 assists. And so I've really been impressed with Max Schulga, just another scoring option, another ball handler. His defense has improved on the perimeter. Really impressed with his game and how he has matured and grown and is a big-time contributor for Utah State. Good to see him recognized as an honorable mention selectee from the coaches today.
Yeah, it really shows his growth, and I was someone who was really hopeful that Schulga would improve this season. I had expectations. I thought he was going to make a jump, or at least I was hoping he would make that jump. Turns out I was right, that he was capable of making that.
9315, Jason steals my player of the week.
Yeah, like I said, it was an easy choice.
My other players of the week, the Brawlers that duked it out in the XFL. Now, trying to bring in an XFL reference.
Yeah, I'm not watching the XFL. I mean, at some point I might be watching something and I'll be, maybe I feel like watching the XFL. But most of the time, just not looking at it. Unless 9-305 technically, apparently people got ejected.
There was a literal brawl.
Okay, so there was a little. That's what I thought you was talking about. One of the teams is called the Brawlers.
Yeah, one of the teams could have been the Brawlers, and we would have been none the wiser.
That's honestly what I was thinking. Is one of them's just called the Brawlers.
It would make sense. I mean, it would be on point on brand, I should say.
Okay, so maybe I'll watch that XFL or just a clip. It's like watching NASCAR for the crashes. Yeah. Watching the XFL for the fights.
So that's our player of the week. Now let's get to the stat.
Let's take a look at the numbers. It's the stat that blew our minds.
He did what?
On the Full Court Press.
Wow, that blew my mind.
All right, what have you got, Jason?
So North Carolina.
Oh, good. We don't have the same stat.
Anyway, Lowry Markin. I don't think I could guess yours. But North Carolina is the preseason number 1 in the NCAA. Their season has not really gone to their expectations as being, the preseason number 1. They're now 19-12 on the year, 7th in the ACC. May not even make the tournament. They're kind of on the outside looking in as far as all the bracketologists. Kind of in that first 4 out, maybe next 4 out, depending on who you ask. So they're 19-12 after losing to Duke on Saturday. And they are the first team that was the preseason number 1 to have 12 losses in a season.
Oh, wow.
Since the AP poll began in about 1961.
Wow.
So the only team to lose that hard after being supposedly the best team in the country on day one.
That's nuts. And they're on the bubble.
Yeah, so they're on the bubble. They were preseason number 1, may not make the tournament, which is almost unfathomable.
Right. Some people are saying, oh, how can North Carolina not be in? Put them in ahead of Utah State.
Because North Carolina is 19-12, Utah State is not.
Yes. All right, my stat. I don't know how much this really blows my mind as much as I find this kind of interesting. Western Conference seeds in the NBA, seeds 9 through 13, are tied in the loss column. Pelicans, Jazz, Blazers, Lakers, and Thunder all have 34 losses. And what's one of those teams, the Pelicans, this is what's kind of an interesting side note to this, is that they were, this is kind of similar to your discussion about North Carolina, they were the 3 seed in the West on January 1st. They have gone 8-20 since then and have fallen to the 12th place in the Western Conference.
Jazz were the top seed in the West for a handful of days.
That's true.
In the first 10, 12 games of the season. Yeah, the Pelicans really fell off.
But since Zion Williamson's injury, they have all but disappeared.
Yeah. Well, the Jazz, they were surprised to be at the top and were kind of expected to fade. The Pelicans were one of those teams where it's they jumped to the top. Okay, maybe this is their breakout because they're supposed to be coming out of the rebuild with their, assemblage of players. And they're just doing terrible.
Yeah, you take away one player and it's just disappeared.
And that's Zion's weakness, is having weakness. Weakness in his body. He can't stay healthy because he's 380 pounds.
Speaking of the Utah Jazz, they do play the Dallas Mavericks tonight. That will be here on The Fan. Pregame at about 6:20, tip-off at 6:30. Kind of an odd time for a tip-off. I don't see that it's on any national broadcast that way. It's just the way that Dallas drew it up tonight. But Jordan Clarkson's out. He sprained a finger the other night, popped it back in place, and finished the game when they were in Oklahoma City. So he's out because of a strained finger. Colin Sexton is still out because of his hamstring. And now they're saying Walker Kessler is going to be out because he's not feeling well.
Probably just coughed in the middle of team practice. You're sick.
Shut it down, big man.
Shut it down, boys. The Jazz are in full-on tank mode, and they're not even being subtle about it.
Yeah.
It's oh no, you're walking into practice and you accidentally trip on the door frame. Not trip and fall over, but brush the foot of your, and you stumble slightly. Do that walking into practice, and you're oh no, Lowry Markkanen, you're injured. Oh no, this could be 4 weeks of rehab. And it's Coach, I'm fine. No, you're injured.
Interestingly enough, Lowry Markkanen is cleared to play after he was out.
It's oh no, I tripped while on the team plane. Oh no. Oh, your wrist, it must be horribly scarred. You'll be out the rest of the season for sure. It's no, Coach, I'm fine.
Yeah, when they when you saw how things went with San Antonio, especially the last 5 minutes of that game, and how things have gone against Oklahoma City, I think that they'll say that they still want to win, but they're going to do it with their younger, more inexperienced players.
Yeah, they're throwing some of the younger guys to the wolves. Ochai Agbaji is getting probably more minutes than he should be probably comfortable with. He's still playing well, but you do worry because he was developing at a steady pace, and now he's suddenly getting accelerated to, all right, play starters level minutes. Hope the man's ready.
Yes. So you're going to see a lot of Johnny Juzang, a lot of Talon Horton Tucker.
I don't mind seeing a ton of Talon Horton Tucker, even though if he's having a good game. If he's having an awful game, he's just
yeah. He can play pretty reckless.
Yeah, and so it can be really good or just frustrating to watch because he keeps doing dumb things, or he just keeps making all those shots. Kind of like Diet Jordan Clarkson. He's not as good as Jordan Clarkson, so he doesn't come out on top in those situations nearly enough.
Yeah, so anyway, you're going to see a lot of inexperienced players on the court tonight. Against this team, the Dallas, who have become one of the most efficient basketball teams since the trade deadline. at least offensively efficient with now adding Kyrie Irving alongside Luka Doncic.
I keep forgetting that happened. I was like, oh yeah, Kyrie Irving's on the Mavericks now. That's just a weird pairing. It just doesn't feel, I don't know. It doesn't happen very often where you think two people are paired together and you just don't feel like they fit. And I don't know if there's any reasoning behind me thinking that way. It's just a gut feeling they don't seem to fit.
When Irving faced the Jazz with the Nets earlier this year, he got whatever he wanted.
Yeah.
I think he scored like 38 points. He probably could have scored 58 if he wanted.
He's got to get more of that. Honestly, who's guarding anybody? Walker Kessler's not there. Who's guarding anybody at all?
We got to take a quick timeout. More from you if you want to chime in. 435-339-0321.
There's still time to hit the backcountry. Come check out Cycles and Sleds in Hyde Park for all your snow gear needs. For a limited time, they're offering 20% off all snow gear, including gloves, coats, boots, and Fly and FXR monosuits. Their brand new location features a larger showroom and service area, so you can get everything you need in one place. Don't miss out on this amazing closeout sale. Trust Cycles and Sleds to keep you on the snow. Visit them online at cyclesandsleds.com.
Old McDarrell has a farm, an appliance farm.
This is Jay from Darrell's Appliance. Why buy from Darrell's? Worry-free delivery and installation. We offer installation on all appliances we sell, including vending, and we haul away your old appliances for free. Darrell's West on Airport Road, open until 6 p.m. on weekdays, 5 on Saturday.
See Darrell's Appliance in beautiful downtown Benson.
Own a small business or a farm? You thought about solar? Listen up. A new USDA grant was announced allocating $300 million for farmers and small business owners to put in solar. That's right. The government will help you get solar installed, covering 40% of the cost. And don't forget, as a business, you can save up to 50 or 60% more with federal and state tax credits. Second Sun Solar will install your system and help with the USDA paperwork. Call Second Sun Solar today at 435-363-9917 or online at utahsolardirect.com.
Elements has delicious lunch specials, 2 for $30, or the new soup, salad, and bread special for just $10. It's tasty and quick. Elements lunch menu is full of scrumptious items prepared with a personal touch. Wood-fired pizzas are an excellent choice that include barbecue chicken and the bee's knees. The fresh battered halibut fish and chips with seasoned fries is always a hit. And don't forget the fan favorite Munster burger. Casual or professional. Open Monday through Thursday, 11:30 to 8 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11:30 to 9 p.m. Visit theelementsrestaurant.com for reservations today.
Let's talk about getting your car registered. What a pain. With registration and emissions, it can take a long time. Valvoline Instant Oil Change in Logan, across from Angie's, will take that pain away. Stop in to get your oil changed and have your emissions done, and then re-register your car. It's all that easy in one stop. The best thing, you can stay in your car while our trained pros service your vehicle. Valvoline Instant Oil Change, 695 North Main, open 7 days a week.
The Aggies, Jazz, high schools, even the Pee Wee's T-ball team. It's the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, The Fan.
Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker here in the Full Court Press. Hey, by the way, stay tuned on Friday. Big announcement for what's going to be happening this summer. The what's the right way to say this? The band that will be performing at the Cache Valley Cruise-In will be announced on Friday, and we're going to be giving away some tickets during our show on Friday. So stay tuned for that. Really exciting stuff.
I hadn't even heard that. You're saying stay tuned for the announcement on Friday. I was like, what are we doing on Friday?
What's happening?
Except it'll just be you, I guess.
That's right. You're going down to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
In fact, you're leaving tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll be leaving tomorrow. I'll drive down to Las Vegas, hop into a hotel, and spring break in Vegas, I guess. I've done it before.
We'll be checking in with you while you're there.
Yeah, I can probably join the show there's actually pretty good odds my voice will be on the show on Friday. There's a chance I'll be here on Friday.
Let's hope not.
Yeah, I certainly hope not, because that'd be pretty bad. We're hoping for at minimum Saturday return, ideally a Sunday return. But,
we'll be checking in with you while you're there. You'll be able to kind of report on how things are going, how things look, what coaches and players are saying. And as the field continues to change and the bracket evolves, we'll be checking in to see how that works. KVNU game day with Al Lewis. That'll get underway Thursday night late because the first game will be 9:30 Mountain Time. So Al Lewis and Jalen Moore will begin their pregame coverage at 8:30 on Thursday, and then another late one, hopefully, on Friday night with the tip-off at 10 o'clock Mountain Time, 9 o'clock Pacific.
Yeah, I got
head to Las Vegas.
Now I got to start doing the math, because I have to remember the local time.
That's right.
Because that's when I'm going.
Lots of late nights, but it'll be fun. And March Madness is definitely upon us, so we'll have reports. And next week we'll have full NCAA coverage. All the games from Westwood 1 here on The Fan. It'll be a lot of fun. Stay tuned. Keep it dialed in here on The Fan. 106.9 FM, 1390 AM.